We have that recorded, everybody.
Yeah.
So if you don't see him working with me, you're going to have to razz him about it.
I guess I'm going to Boston, everybody.
This was a sales call, really.
It really was. What's up, everybody? We got another episode here. This is episode 2 of Sacred Soldiers Podcast. We have a very, very special guest today, Miss Melanie Spring. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm super excited for this podcast today, everyone. She is very inspiring to me, and she's a whole vibe. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, whole vibe meets whole vibe. So,
Yes.
you know. Well, I'm Melanie Spring, and I'm a brand muse to bold visionaries. I help entrepreneurs and CEOs step into themselves.
I love it.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
About what part of it?
Oh, man. So maybe tap into maybe the healing part that you work on with them. I think that would be really cool to talk about.
Yeah. So a lot of people come to me because they're stepping fully into themselves, but a lot of times they've been told they have to become themselves. Like a lot of people say things like, be yourself, just be yourself. Most people don't know who they are. So how can you just be yourself if you don't know who you are? And so a lot of the work I'm doing is actually taking the layers of the world off of them. And so I'm helping them unbecome everything the world told them to be so they can go back to who they innately are, who they showed up to be. Because all of us just showed up to be love, and then we got hurt by people who also showed up to be love, who got hurt and then hurt us. And so over time, we just have all these layers of protection around us that are like, well, I want you to see who I am, but I don't want you to don't want you to like really see who I am. So my job is to help them unbecome everything the world told them to be.
So is that almost like therapeutic or
Sometimes.
in some ways?
Yeah. Sometimes we do. I do a lot of work where we're actually walking through the things that have actually caused them to become who they are, whether it's the education or the indoctrination or the religious trauma or just work that they've done on themselves over the years that maybe wasn't necessarily as supportive as they thought. And sometimes we use really odd modalities like breath work and sound bath healing or plant medicine, or there's all sorts of things that can happen because everyone has their own medicine.
Yep.
And a lot of times we've been told certain things are wrong or bad and we can't use those things, which, you know, for some people makes it more alluring. And for other people, they're like, yeah, but I'm not available for that. And so what we do is we try to find the medicine that works for them, like the questions that work for them or the work that they need to do in order to get back to who they really are.
That's rad. I absolutely love that. And that kind of like touches me personally because my journey with where I'm kind of taking my business and next steps after I grow the business, I do alkaline water filtration for homeowners and I turn their whole house into this mineral spring. So all the sound bath stuff, cold plunges, plant-based stuff, like that's all super in my realm. So I love that. But next step for me is going to be within the next few years. So we're definitely going to have to talk because I want to be that mindset guy on stage doing what you're doing too to help people, because help the youth, help people that are just coming out of high school. They don't know where they want to go. And if you're not going to be a doctor, an engineer, or a firefighter, or a policeman, you know, where are you going to take your life? And I want to be able to inspire others through speaking. So we'll definitely have to talk more about that. I guess for the viewers, where do you start with people with this kind of healing journey? And I guess everyone's a little bit different, but kind of say it was me, for instance, where would you go and where would you step to talk to someone first about this journey to get to that next step?
Well, we could actually just do that if you want to.
Let's go.
We can just work on you today, and then we can show everybody else what that looks like. Because a lot of times it's hard to explain the process. Like, I'm not a person who has all we have to do is start with this and then do this. And then, like, I couldn't build a course to do what I do.
That's cool.
I couldn't say, well, you just start with step 1 and then go to step 2. A lot of times we have to figure out what's the thing that's actually in your way. So why don't we do that today?
Let's go.
Why don't we figure out, like you say you want to be speaking and you want to inspire people and you want to get in front of people to help them with their own healing. And so what's the thing that might be keeping you from being able to find a stage that will allow you to do that for yourself?
Probably time, I guess. would be like the biggest thing, because the business and my marriage and everything else kind of consumes a lot of my time. And, you know, I'm working really hard right now to get the business to run itself so I can work on the business instead of in the business.
Right.
Is step one. And then that's going to allow me to have more time to look into that stuff. But I mean, you have 24 hours in a day. There's got to be time that I can find. And I look at myself and I go, okay, you're making excuses here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And you can already hear it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I have all these other things to do, so I don't have time.
Yeah.
And so a lot of this would be priorities for you.
I think so.
And figuring out how much time do I want to spend on each thing and which thing is most important. So is it right now, I'm going to spend 6 months on getting my business so that it can run without me. What do you need to do to put in place, like, to make that happen? Like, who needs to be there? How do you want to be doing this? Do you want to have less clients, or do you want to have more clients with other people doing this job? Are you going to do the sales, or are you going to have someone else do it? Like, what's the path for that? So that's where we would start.
Okay. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, definitely next steps for me. So I just hired on 4 amazing sales reps. They're absolutely amazing. So they're finding different ways to find leads, and I'm doing lead generation for them as well. Next step, I need like a personal assistant for like the computer stuff, the back end work, all that stuff, and then a service person. Because I think a lot of my time is spent sometimes servicing my clients, when if you look at what that really costs per hour and the revenue coming from it, a couple $100 for, you know, 4 hours of work, it's not lining up with what I should be doing for the business. So that's a very important key. And I've been thinking about this for like the last 2 months, because I had to do a rebrand last August. So new name as of a year ago, but same exact company that I had. I had a crazy situation with a business partner. We won't get into that. And I started my own thing. So Sacred Alkaline Water. So that's the next step for me, I think, when it comes to that, because I'm very passionate about helping people, and I do it and through ministry and my business and helping people that way with what I'm already doing. But there's so much more that I feel like there's these natural leadership skills that I need to use and utilize to help people and guide people. And I do it with friends and family and people that come to me. I'm the guy that everyone talks to already.
Right.
So
how do you monetize that?
Yeah. And how do I reach more people? Right. Because how do I help millions instead of 10 people, 20 people?
Right. So right now you have an accessibility problem.
Okay.
You're accessible. Really accessible.
Too accessible.
Which means people aren't going to pay you to be accessible.
I see that.
And so right now in your business, you're super accessible because you'll do the work that needs to be done in order to make sure your clients are happy.
Yes.
So there's tools, like my husband actually does. He's working on this AI project for people who have really boring businesses. That's his whole goal, is I want to make their businesses super efficient, from lead generation to taking care of their clients to making sure that everything in the back end is working without people. And he's like, and I'm not trying to take anyone's jobs, but what I'm trying to do is say, you actually don't have to hire more people to be more efficient. You can put certain things in place to make sure that that stuff is just following up with people without you thinking about it.
Love it.
And so his whole idea is, how can I help really, really basic, simple tasks be super simple and not have to be taken care of anymore? So he's like helping companies like yours that I don't think it's boring, but it's simple. It's simple stuff. It's not like, oh, well, somebody like me, I can't have AI do my job, but I can have AI do the basics of the lead generation and follow-up systems, so I don't have to be thinking about that anymore.
Yes. It takes up a lot of my time.
It takes up a lot of time, right? So like that's accessible. That helps you be less accessible to people. So what are the things you can be doing that helps send those things off to your salespeople?
Yeah.
And then we would look at the people who come to you for advice. It feels really good when they come to you for advice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are people like me who get paid tens of thousands of dollars a month to help people, one person at a time, to do that kind of work.
Yeah.
And so I know that if I'm super accessible to people, then they'll just take over and I'll never have time to do the work I need to do for the people who are paying me a lot of money for my really smart and talented information that they can't get online and they can't get on the internet.
You can't.
And so what are the things you can do? Like I just recently started a thing called an Ask Me Anything, which is the title of it is Ask Me Anything Except to Be Subtle. And so I'm doing an in-person one in Vero Beach once a month, and I'm doing an every week one online so that people come. There's only 10 spots for each of them, eight in person, 10 online, where people can ask me anything. So I'm not doing 100 coffees. I'm not doing a whole bunch of meetings. I'm not trying to talk to people all the time and give them free information. But if they do want to spend the time once a week for 45 minutes, I'm available to ask me anything. And guess what happens with that? I get clients.
Okay.
Because they're there going, oh, I don't have to schedule a call with you and then have you sell me on something. They can jump on a call with other people, hear what they're asking, and go, wait a second, I actually need this. Can we talk?
Yeah.
And then I schedule a call to talk about like working together. But it's not like I'm trying to get you to do anything. I'm purely saying, this is how I'm accessible. That's it. Otherwise, you pay me to do it. And so finding ways to do that, I'm not saying that's for everybody, but over the years I've found that that's a really easy way for people to go, oh, I know I don't have to pay you for this and I don't have to pick your brain because, oh my gosh, if one more person picks my brain, I don't have time for that. I wouldn't be able to do my job if I had time for that.
No.
So it's finding ways for people to be able to access you without being super accessible.
Absolutely.
So that's what we would start with.
Okay. And where do I go from there? I got to pay for that, right?
Well, no, but you also talked about your relationship.
Yes.
And so it's being able to set boundaries with your business
Yeah.
to have the relationship that you want. So it's being able to create the space for you and your wife, I'm guessing, to be able to create that space and help give you the space to have for each other so that you know when I'm with her, I'm with her. That's it.
Yeah.
And when I'm not, I can focus on the things I need to. And so that's all about priorities.
Yeah. So priorities is definitely a big part for me, clearly. That's one that I think a lot of business owners struggle with.
Right.
Is that priorities of, you know, these hours, these days are a no-fly zone type thing. And I really need to be better at it and stop making excuses. It's one thing that I struggle with still because, and maybe I need that AI tool, everything is relying on me right now.
Exactly.
And the sales reps are new, and then if I get this, when I get the service person and the AI tool or back-end person, whatever we do, because I need to talk to you about that after this. It will alleviate me from some of those tasks that are tapping into other things that are a priority to me. Right. I.e. my wife.
Right. But we think we're so important. And that's the problem with business ownership is I've been an entrepreneur for 16 years. I've actually been for 22, but I had a couple jobs in the in-between and was like, oh, no, I really want to work for myself.
We're not doing this.
And so 16 years ago, I started my business, but I didn't have a lot of training with it. So I was trying to figure it out as I went. And I'm a brand strategist. So it's like I knew how to brand myself. I knew how to market myself. But the back-end systems, I was like, oh, I need an assistant. So I've had an assistant since day one. Right now is the only time I haven't had an assistant because right now I actually don't know what I would even give them because I haven't figured out the streamlined pieces of what would help me be able to let go of some things that I'm not important for. So that's what I'm working on right now. And I think it's a continual process of, okay, but what am I important to do? Like what has to have me versus what do I not have to do anymore? Like, do I have to create every single social media post? Absolutely not. But also, I can create the post and hand it off to someone to post it for me. That could be helpful. And then slowly over time, hand it off altogether to somebody. Yeah. But those little things just kind of catch you and like, oh, no, but I'm super important. When you're really not. Like, how important really are you? Like, do people really need you for every single tiny little thing?
No.
Well, you've made yourself important, so of course they need you.
Yeah.
So how can you shift that over into someone else's hands so that they know I'm taken care of and everything's going to be okay?
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's what I'm working on really hard with the sales reps right now is pouring everything that I am into them when it comes to the education because there's too many companies out there, not talking smack, it's just the way that it is, when it comes to water filtration that do not educate their sales reps or give them the tools to be able to even talk about water.
Right.
They know that there's a water filtration system that does X, and this is where we're going to put it. And the client goes, well, how does it work?
Right.
And 99% of the reps out there go, it just filters your water. And they go, again, how?
Right.
So, like, that's what we're working really hard on the past 2 months with these new reps, because this is all new.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it goes into, I have dreamt about this for a long time to have my sales reps have, 5 or 6 of them, because for the past 5 years, it's basically been me doing everything. And it's like, okay, let's give some delegation to other people.
Right.
Let's let them go run with it. Let them go carry this dream with me as a team, right? And that's kind of where we're at. And my goal this year was to have 6 sales reps by the end of the year. We're already at 4. We're halfway through the year.
Amazing.
So we're on track to where I want to be. It's just putting all of me into them, but then letting them individualize it when they're in the home, because I don't give them a script.
Right.
I don't want them to have a script.
Yeah.
I want them to be unique. I want them to be themselves when they're in the appointment, and it just be a conversation.
Right. And so let's talk about that then.
Yeah.
Because that is all about brand.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone talks about how they're like, oh, I have a brand, but like I don't need to talk about branding. Like it's not, because people think it's a logo or a website or like how your marketing sounds. Those are little pieces of it, but those conversations are part of the brand. And so the last company that I worked with before I quit my branding agency was Five Guys.
Okay.
And if you go into a Five Guys is branded.
Yeah.
So why would they need someone like me? Let me tell you. So their stores are branded. You walk into every store, it's exactly the same.
People.
Right. So the people are the biggest part of the brand. Okay. The human to human connection is the part of the brand that most people overlook. And so they had 30 years behind them. And then they hired a PR person. And that PR person said, I literally have no idea how to talk about you. We need a brand person to come in and help you internally make sure that this brand is solid. Not one person could tell you what Five Guys did. They're like, you just got to try it. Even the guys who ran it, the stepmom, and the 5 brothers couldn't tell you. So we sat for days working internally with the team and also with the people who run the company. And we had to figure out, like, what is the brand? How do you tear your lettuce? How do you cut your tomatoes? How do you cook your buns? How are you different from every other fast food place out there? And they're like, we're not the same at all. And I'm like, but that's what we need to talk about.
SOPs
how do you?
and stuff.
Yeah, everything had to be really carefully. This is how we talk about everything. And so it wasn't you just got to try it by the end. It was, this is actually some of the cleanest fast food you can get on the market because they have everything fresh every single day. When they run out of buns locally, because they have one place locally that they make buns.
For all the stores?
For all the stores locally. They have one place that they make their own buns. If they run out of buns, they have to close the stores. Right. And they make their buns every single day.
I did not know that.
Right. But the thing is they didn't have an internal brand to talk about it or training to help people say the things that they needed to say. And so I would say your next step is to get your humans on brand to know that when someone meets one of your reps, they're like, oh, yeah, this is one of his. Oh, yeah, I got this. Yes, 100%. This is Mikey's guy. I got it. Because you want to make sure that they're solidly in your brand, the voice, the language, the culture, the whole thing. They're living your brand.
Yeah. And I focus heavy on that because I learned that a long time ago. And I wanted it so my vision and my giant, big, audacious goal when it comes to this is that, you know, we'll be big as like the Culligan, the Rain Soft, these other companies that are out there, but the company people can trust.
Right.
The company that answers their phone.
Right.
The companies that not
There's
outsourcing.
not just a call center. Right.
Yeah, none of that stuff. I want a real person, and I want everyone that meets anyone that works with me, and I always say with me, not for me.
Right.
They get a piece of me.
Right.
Right? They get a piece of the culture of what I'm trying to build, and that culture is trust. I mean, our core values, it's ESIG, so it's excellence, so providing excellence in everything we do regardless of the cost. Sustainability, we're going to be doing stuff to help people get clean water globally. We talked about that a little bit yesterday, and removing plastic from the ocean and making some really cool things out of it. That'll be part of our nonprofit that's connected to the company. And then the G would be global responsibility, and the I can't believe I'm forgetting it right now. I'm drawing a blank.
That's always how it works, though. If there's 4 core values, you forget one. If there's 5, you forget one. It's like
innovation.
There you go.
she helped me with it. So innovation, where I'm different and I'm unique, because the water business has been stagnant for about 35 years.
So funny you use the word stagnant. Purposeful.
No pun intended. But it literally has been stagnant for 35 years, and they've all been doing the same thing to the point where I've approached 15 different manufacturers and suppliers to build my system, because my systems are built in California right now and shipped here because they're the only ones that'll build it the way that I want.
Right.
Everyone else is like, we're not going to do that just for you. And I'm like, all right. So it shows that 99% of everyone else is doing the same thing.
Right.
I want to be different.
Right.
Right. And that's super important to me because of my mom's cancer journey. She beat breast cancer 11 years ago. went through the whole radiation, chemo, 12 or more surgeries. And then last year, out of nowhere, she got stage 4 lung cancer. And I personally blame the radiation. There's other things we won't get into that I'm blaming, but we'll talk about it later. And I lost her a month and a half ago. So this is what makes us different in the culture of it is this is a passion project. I just want to help people. I want to be that guy that people know, hey, I have the cleanest water in my house. I can trust this guy. When I call him, he answers, which we need to remove, and that's the reps. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
But, you know, everyone else that's a part of the company, it's going to have that exact same culture, and that's so important to me.
Right.
So.
And I think the next step of this, which is manifestation, is really thinking about, I know a lot of people talk about, okay, what's your 5-year vision? What's your 20-year vision? What's your big, hairy, audacious goal? What are the things that you need to do? And what I've learned is all of these things are masculine manifestations. So if you think about it, and you're a guy, so this makes sense. And I'm not talking about men. I'm talking about like there's feminine and masculine in all of us. We all have it. I was in my masculine for most of my career until my husband stepped into his masculine. And I was like, oh, look at that. I can be my feminine. So I love it. But being able to look at in business, we're taught the masculine way of doing everything. Yeah. We have to build a business toward goals. We have to set a number. We have to create momentum. We have to have the playbook. Everything's like masculine when it comes to, and I'm not saying this is bad, but there's not a balance to feminine. So they're talking about the wartime. Like, okay, we're going to get in the boardroom and we're going to make sure that we, you know, like they talk about the playbook and making sure that you have all of the plays ready so you can defeat the enemy. Like, what? Why are we doing this all the time? But women have been taught that that's how we have to run our businesses, but we're in more of our feminine, most of us, than our masculine, even if we're taught like this is where we have to go. And so manifestation goes under that, where we're like, okay, what's the thing that we're going toward? We have to head toward this direction or we're going to die because like we're at war. Yeah. What if we weren't at war anymore? What if we weren't trying to manifest based on an old standard that worked for a long time, worked during the war times, worked during generations where people had to get together and like stand together against other countries? But we've then created a 9-to-5 situation, or on the East Coast, 8 to 5, and Monday through Friday. And that has nothing to do with anything other than we were at war and we had to come together. But it's stuck. And we all had to go to offices because offices are where we're most productive. That's not true. But we had to create these systems to get everyone on the same page, and we've stuck with them. And now we're in 2025, and there's a huge spiritual shift in everything. Yep. But we're still stuck in this 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Got to go after our goal. We got to make these things happen. And so the problem is we're all manifesting. Well, I'm going to build this company because if I hit $1 million or whatever the next goal is, then I'm successful.
Yeah.
That's where the problem is.
It is.
Because most of us are waiting to get to a certain goal in order to feel successful. When if we were to look at this moment, we have food and shelter and people we love.
Exactly.
We have a business that's working. We have people who love us. We have clients who want to work with us. And the more we focus on this present moment rather than trying to get somewhere, that's when manifestation really starts.
Yep. I completely agree with that. Yeah, touching on what you were talking about. So like that war cry, I guess you would talk about. You're talking about companies that are like, we got to take down the competition. We have to beat them, all that. And that is so where I'm different because I want to be as big as some of them, but be different. But I'm also not trying to take them down.
Right.
I don't go out there and try and talk smack about other companies, right? There's actually multiple water companies that I'm friends with the owners locally.
Yeah.
And I can recommend business to them when people don't want the crazy Mikey system.
Right.
Right? The system that we've built here at Sacred. So there's people that I can send them business and help them out. And it's like that unity that isn't there in business and everyone wants to be cutthroat and we have to take down the enemy, just like you said. And I just don't get it. I'm not like that. I'm such a genuine, loving dude. Like, I want everyone to win.
Right. And except for that mentality is such like the normal mentality.
Yeah.
And so my husband and I started a community. And at first we were charging like $50 a month to like help people. And it was like massive, major growth support. But then we realized over time, we're like, I don't want people to have to pay to be a part of a community. I just want people to be able to be a part of a community. Because a lot of people were losing their jobs and stuff was happening that they couldn't afford it. And I was like, well, why am I... Wait, I don't want someone to have to exit if they can't afford to pay it, or if they're just not able to get in the season to any of the calls or come to any in-person stuff. What if we made it a nonprofit? The problem is that I've figured out is that we've realized that everyone has a piece of cheese. Every community is like, no, but this is my community and these are my people. Why would I send anyone to you? Or why would they want to be in both of those communities? And I'm like, oh, fascinating. So you have a piece of cheese and you're looking at my cheese going, oh, well, but your cheese is a little bigger than mine. Why do you have bigger cheese than me? Or if I gave you some of my cheese, then I would have less cheese. It's like, why are we talking about cheese? We're talking about humans. And why aren't we just helping each other because we want to? Because we're like, no, but I have to keep everything for myself. But that's the mentality of most business owners, especially when they get started, because they're like, yeah, but if I don't keep it for myself, then where does it go? Well, here's the thing about this. Manifestation and building the thing that we want is about giving at the same level that we're getting.
Yeah.
And that's how this works in any way, shape, or form. If we can give, and we're not sitting there going, oh, but like if I give, then what will happen? If we can give, then we can get. But here's the other problem. Most people are like, oh, but I'm a giver. And I'm like, yeah, okay. What happens when you get there? Like, oh, I don't like getting things. And I'm like, oh, but that's the light and the dark of it.
Yeah.
So if you're a giver, you're not actually giving from truth or who you really are. You're giving in order to get something. And so if we can give and receive at the same level, then we're in alignment.
Yeah.
But the problem is most people are like, oh, but I have to get clients. I need to get clients. But I'm such a giver. And I'm like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. What if you were able to give truly from your heart and receive from your heart? What happens then? We all get to get what we need because there's enough for everybody. There is infinite amounts of love. There's infinite amounts of money. There's infinite amounts of energy.
Yep.
So what if we were able to just give and receive all of that and know that all of the stuff we want is coming to us?
Yep. That's huge.
That's what I think of as manifestation.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And it's kind of that mindset of thinking and living in abundance or thinking and living in
scarcity.
That's a big one because, the power of the tongue, right? And the power of what you speak. And, it's hard for me sometimes, and I need to get better at this, but negative people where they're just constantly, oh, this always happens to me. And I'm the 1% that this bad thing is going to happen.
Right.
And I'm like, you're literally speaking it into existence. And that's part of what I want to help with is things like that, where it's like, no, like speak the positive and not like toxic positivity where it's like over the top, oh my gosh, and it's fake. It's genuine positivity, right? And it's just being you, being uniquely you.
Right. And again, we go back to the beginning. Most people don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Because someone else told them who they needed to be, what education they needed to have, where they needed to go with their career. Like I grew up in a very tiny country neighborhood. Like I'm from the middle of nowhere, like farm country in Western New York.
Okay.
And I didn't know that I grew up knowing that women had 3 jobs. I didn't know this until after I finally figured out what I wanted to do with my life. I could be a teacher, I could be a nurse, or I could be a mother. I had absolutely no desire to be a nurse or a mother. So I was like, well, of course I'll be a teacher. Why wouldn't I just do that? I didn't know that that's what I was choosing between until after. And I was like, wait a second. There's more people out there doing other things. And so when I found communications and branding and marketing, I was like, oh, no, that's what I want to be doing. But at the end of the day, I realized most people don't have options to become someone that they want to be because they don't see that there's more possibilities because they're stuck in this little bubble of like, no, but this is how I grew up. And like my parents didn't let me go to college or my parents made me go to college or whatever it is that happened. It's like, well, but why are you doing what you do now? And so right now, this huge spiritual awakening we're coming into, which is getting faster and faster. Like the stuff that's happened the last 5 years is happening the last 5 months right now. And I'm like, okay, guys, hold on to your hats because it's going quick. But at the same time, what we're realizing is most people don't see that what they can't get past. That's like they have to let go of all the baggage of what's happened to them and who they've been in order to enter what I think of as the door of possibility.
Yeah.
And you can't fit through the door unless you go through a crawl space with a little backpack and you've got all of your luggage with you. And you're like, well, this is my stuff. This is me. This is who I am. And I'm like, okay, but do you want it to be? Like, can you throw it away? Can you donate it? Can you like leave it behind? Are you really attached to those stories, that trauma, that thing that happened to you, the way you were treated? Can then you move forward, but you can't move forward with all that stuff with you.
Can't fit through the hole.
No, exactly. Yeah. And I do a meditation that helps people really sit with, like, what is the stuff that I'm holding on to?
Yeah.
And all the luggage and all the stuff that is like weighing me down, that I get to this giant door thinking, oh, well, the door is giant. I can walk through it. And it's like, yeah, the little man that pops out is like, there's a little crawl space down there.
Yeah.
And you can only take your backpack. So what are you going to take in your backpack? Like, what tools do you actually want to take with you? And so it's looking at, like, how can I really look at what things am I thinking about that I probably don't need to be?
Yeah.
Like, what ways are you marketing your business that you feel like, well, this is how you market a business? Anytime we start saying, well, this is how we do things, or this is how I am, we've stopped the growth. Because most of the time, like a business like yours, I would never look at another business like yours to think about how they're marketing, because you're not like them.
No.
I would look at a parallel industry. Like, I used to work with credit unions a lot.
Okay.
And I would say, okay, with credit unions, the most similar industry that they are, without looking at each other, because credit unions are incredible. Like, they're nonprofits, they're super helpful, they're community based. They really want to help the people in their community, and they're just lovely humans. And
they have the best rates.
They do, but they're like just lovely humans, and they're compared to banks all the time, but they're nothing like a bank. So what I did is I started looking at the hotel industry, because when you walk in a credit union, you don't want to feel like you're at a bank. You want to feel like you're home. And hotels specifically want you to feel like you're at an extension of your home.
Wow.
So I started looking, I'm like, are you a W hotel or are you a Motel 8? It doesn't matter, but like, look at what they're doing to get people in the door so that you can do the same thing. How are they setting up their lobby? How are they greeting people? How are they taking care of their customers? Are there desks or their offices? Like, how do they do that? And how can you look at the same thing in that space? And so being able to look at a completely different industry, way outside the box, this is not how I am. Who cares? I don't want to be like this.
I love that.
Let's look at that instead. So I don't really compete with other people like me, because I'm like, I don't do what they do. So why would I even market myself that way? Which I'll just have to caveat this with. Sometimes I do like the doom scrolling, and I'm like, oh, but there's so much more along than me, and they just have better things, and they do courses, and I should do courses. Like that kind of stuff where I'm like, oh, wait a second, I'm not them. Oh, that's right. Okay, got it.
We're good.
Right, exactly. But it's really looking at outside of this is who I am. Yeah, but do you want that to be the case? Do you like your life? Are you happy in it? Or would you like to change it? And a lot of times it's that spark of that conversation where if you're open to it, you're like, oh, I never thought about that. I could totally do that. What fun.
Yeah. That's awesome, because it kind of digs into like the creative of each individual, right? Because I feel like, just going back to what you were saying, everyone's stuck in this 9-to-5 mindset, the system mindset. You go to school, you go to college, you get the degree, you get the job, you're stuck in debt the rest of your life, and you never get to follow your dreams.
Right. And so most people, I have a talk I do called Who Are You Without Your Business? Because most people can't answer that question.
Yeah.
Like, most people, if they have their own business or they're in the C-suite, their life is their work.
Yeah.
And so what I do is I talk to people about, like, most people get to 70 years old, 65 years old, and they get cancer, they have a heart attack, or they die because they're done with their work. They have no more purpose. Of course that happens. Why wouldn't it happen? Because our systems are like, I'm going to be super focused on all my energy on this thing, and then that thing is gone.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the work that I do now is with CEOs who are like, okay, I'm in my 50s, early 60s-ish. Sometimes it's 30s or 40s because they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. But a lot of times it's the people who are like, I don't want to retire, but I don't want to keep doing this anymore. But I don't just want to go golf. I don't want to just sit on my lanai and like hang out. Like I want to actually do something with my life. Yeah. And so a lot of times people come to me because they're like, but I want to do the thing I'm really here to do, because I did this for 30 years. I did this for 40 years. And I know this is like the thing I needed to do to help me. And I also know I'm not here to do this anymore. And so stepping into that like mentorship role or speaking or doing things that are really inspiring and support other people, because most of it's that people want to make an impact. How can I make an impact? Yeah. But they had to do this thing for a certain amount of time to get to the point where they felt like, oh, now I'm ready. And so being able to step into that is like, it's an uncovering. It's like a clearing out of all the stuff that's in there and like making them think about like, oh, I have to be vulnerable now. I actually have to share who I am. I can't just hide that, because as a CEO or like as an entrepreneur, you have to kind of be like, well, I can't tell everyone about all the crazy stuff that's happening, because if I do, then what's going to happen? They're going to not buy from me.
They're going to think of me different.
Right, exactly. But if they don't have to do that anymore, they can start going, oh, I can be lighter. I can feel better. I can be happier. Like, oh, okay, great. So it's being able to, right. But it's if we could all do that earlier, like if I could have done that 15 years ago, I think I'm just talking to myself most of the time going, okay, what would you have done back then that would have been different? Instead of waiting until you're in your 40s to go, oh, okay, now I get it. But I'm also doing it way earlier than most people. Like I live in paradise where people retire to. And I'm like, yeah, but I did that on purpose because I want to live the life that I've always wanted to live now, not 20 years from now.
That is totally me too. I gave myself a timeline, but maybe it doesn't really have to be that timeline talking to you, because the way that I put this is that, okay, I'm going to work really, really hard on this for the next, I'm 36 now, for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
And everything, I want to franchise this with very strict franchise rules, have it across the nation. We're doing global water and plastic initiatives, all kinds of cool stuff, traveling the world, helping out different countries, but helping out people here too is very important to me as well. But by the timeline I gave myself, and I want your thoughts on this, was by the time I'm 40 to 45, this thing needs to be doing what it needs to do so that I can go do my thing. I can go do what I was meant to do. And it's not that the water thing isn't what I was meant to do. It's a very powerful part of who I am and my journey and my passion of helping people. And water's life. It's everything, right?
Yeah.
So I'm bringing this beautiful thing to people, but I feel like there's so much more that I have to offer that I was meant here to do. And,
right.
And that's a big part of it. It's helping people.
Right.
Kind of what you do in a way, I guess.
Well, and what I would say to you is, and I don't give advice. I think everyone has their own answers. I think I'm really big on questioning. I want to question everything so that I can understand why something is happening. Like I'm really big into curiosity and understanding for myself and also for you, what's the thing that will cause you to step into that now? Because if that's something that you're dreaming about, that could be 4 years from now. What if you get cancer 2 years from now?
True.
And that never happens.
Priorities.
And I'm not saying that, yeah, exactly. But it's also like, what if we're not waiting all the time until someday?
Yeah.
What if we can do something? And it doesn't have to be big. It can be 5% of my time right now I want to start spending on being a better speaker, or starting to even write a talk, even coming up with what would I like to talk about. Spending 10% of my time on being less accessible, like taking these priorities and reprioritizing them so that when you're with your wife, there's no phones, you're fully with her, you're fully present, because that's all you want to do is be with her, because she'll remember that and you'll remember that.
For sure.
But then in other ways being like, okay, how can I be the most efficient with my time otherwise? If I really truly want to inspire other people, what can I do right now that would allow me to do that?
You're hired.
But it's these kinds of things that I want to be always thinking about when it comes to, I want to do now what I know needs to happen.
Yeah.
And so like I just created a couple retreats that I'm going to be doing, for some of them for women, but others for entrepreneurs, that I've made so much more accessible financially because I'm really expensive.
Yeah.
But right now people are in a big financial crunch and they're having a really hard time trying to figure out, how can I get this kind of help without having to pay so much because I can't afford it right now, which I get totally. So what can I do in order to do that? So I've even in some ways cut my retreats down to a space where I can do this easily. I can get 10 women to come to my house. We can get food. We can do some journeys if we want to. We can do some really deep dives. I can bring in some healers. We can do this really, really deep work. And I don't have to charge a lot because everyone can just take over my house. It's not luxurious accommodations when we have 12 of us in my 4-bedroom house, but we can figure it out. People can sleep on couches, on floors, and there's not going to be a chef. So I don't have that expense. It's like all the expenses can be cut down because what can I do differently to help me get where I really want to be going? I'm not going to do that forever. It's going to take a lot of my time. It's a lot of my effort for not a lot of money. And how many of those people are going to be able to shift in a bigger way into the things that they want financially, that 5 years from now, they're going to call me and be like, you're hired. Because I'm not in it for the now. I'm in it for the long game. I want to know, what can I do right now to be as supportive as possible, still within the brand of what I do, and support me in the long run. Because I don't want a money grab right now. I don't want to try to just get people to do something. The idea is, what can I do to plant seeds now so that flowers are growing later? So it's a little stuff.
Great analogy. I love that.
Yeah.
When are you doing the entrepreneur one?
It's in September in Boston, actually. We're doing 5 people.
Are you? Is it full?
Nope.
All right. I need to know details.
I'll get you
I'm
details.
there.
It's called The Unraveling.
Okay.
So it's basically helping you get the thing out of the way that needs to move in order for you to move into the thing you really want to be doing.
Okay.
And I'm co-hosting it with a sex and intimacy coach.
Okay.
So it's like deep energy work with people. And it's
Yeah.
not about the sex part of it, but it's about like really, truly getting into alignment with yourself so that you can step into the work you want to be doing.
Yeah. I'm all about that. I feel like that's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely need that. And just really quick, I thought about this when you were speaking, that my mom and looking at her cancer and stuff. So one of the things, so she moved here in January of last year, and she was living her best life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, her COPD cleared up. She was happy. The ocean was healing her. Like,
Yeah.
just the energy. And I'm the water guy, but I've also always been like a merman or a fish, right? The water just gives me so much energy. And being around water, I have to. The ocean is just so powerful. So that's a big part of me, but it's also a big part of my mom, and we were really close. But where I'm trying to get with this is, one of the things she kept saying about 5-6 months in was, what's my purpose? Why am I here? And her biggest purpose her whole life was us. If you talk to
Right.
anyone about her, I had a very abusive father growing up. I kicked him out when I was 14. I had to threaten his life to get him out of the house. Mom was finally like, oh, we got to do this.
Yeah.
And so she was a single parent raising us on about $30,000 a year for 4 kids. And by the grace of God and different church help and food stamps, you name it, everything, we were able to survive
Right.
through that. And I started working at a very young age. So we were her life.
Right. You were her purpose.
Exactly. And I kept telling her that. But then as we grew older and had our own lives, she had a very tough time finding the other purpose.
And that right there is the reason why most people end
Yeah.
up not here anymore, because they become purposeless, which is really hard for moms. That is actually something I worked on for years with moms before I even started doing this work. Is I would hire moms in my branding agency because they were the hardest working humans
Yeah.
who had just like raised their kids, but they're like, well, I have this gap of 10 or 15 years. I have a financial degree, but I haven't done anything the last 15 years other than nonprofit work and making sure my kids get to school and making sure, like, coordinating tons of stuff. I'm like, well, then come work for me so you can coordinate all my stuff and move into the position you want to be. And most of the people who've worked with me ended up in positions where they really wanted to be after because I gave them a chance.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times it's us having to realize as entrepreneurs, who are the moms who are purposeless now because their kids are gone or their kids have moved out. And of course the purpose is still there,
Yeah.
but all of our purposes change over our lifetime. There are very few people, usually people on the autism spectrum, who have one purpose. People with autism, I love this so much because I'm like, this is a superpower. You figure out your purpose early and you know it for a long time.
Yeah.
For most of your life, you've got a purpose.
Super
But most
intelligent.
of us don't get that. Most of us, like normies, don't get to do that, which I'm like, well, we get to choose our purpose along the way. And a lot of people are like, oh, no, you have to just know your purpose. I'm like, most people don't know their purpose. And it's not about just saying, oh, well, this is my purpose. It's trying new things and seeing, well, what feels really good for me? Because I like to think that it's something you can do, something that you innately are good at or can be trained in, something you love doing, something the world needs from you, and something you can make money doing.
Yeah.
At the center of that is your purpose. But that's only for a certain amount of time. I was a brand strategist for a long time. That was my purpose. Then I was a speaker and speaker trainer. That was my purpose. But I knew it wasn't. So I'm like, what is the thing? I'm like transforming humans into the people who they've always been. That. But it's been the whole time. I looked back and I was like, well, I've been doing this for 25 years in different iterations. So obviously it's underlying everything.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your mom, I can tell you, you mentioned something at the beginning where you're like, I'm blaming whatever. Guess what? Your mom's purpose was to get you right where you are right now.
Whew.
And so what if you didn't blame or have any negative energy or any darkness around it and you were able to shine a whole bunch of light into it and go, thanks, Mom. I get to be where I am right now because of you.
That's powerful. Woo.
But that's when we start letting
Yeah.
go of the darkness. There's dark and light in everything, and it's not wrong or bad. Sometimes the darkness is the best thing that can possibly happen. And we have to look at it that way and reprogram it as like, I don't have to think of it as the worst possible thing. I can actually say, thank you,
Yeah.
and move into gratitude with it because that turns it into light. And that's where we get to go. As your mom's now watching you go, I understand my purpose now. I get it.
Yeah. That's huge because she did raise some really cool kids.
Right?
Yeah, she did. And, you know, we all have a piece of her in us, right? And a good amount of it. And each one of us in our individual way. Like my older sister's really good at sales and working with different brands and stuff like that. My middle brother he took over what my dad used to do, which is HVAC. And he's really good at it because this kid was straight A's all through school. Just genius. And he just knows stuff, and the mechanics of stuff are so interesting to him, and he does so well. And then my younger brother, he's killing it. We've all worked at Whole Foods at some point. It was like a big part of our life. We literally all worked at Whole Foods in management. And my sister started that trend. Even my mom worked at Whole Foods for a little bit part-time. But Tommy, my youngest brother, he's just like soared through Whole Foods, and he's he's running a store by himself now.
Yeah.
And he's just killing it. So, and each one of us are just very loving human beings. We're very passionate human beings. And, you know, looking at it in the lens that you're putting it into, I totally see it.
Right. And sometimes we have to go back to that, because I look at my childhood. I have two parents who didn't have a college education. My dad didn't finish eighth grade. And I had two parents who didn't really get me at all. I was an introvert in an extroverted family. I was the one who was like super tapped in really early, and my family was super religious. So I grew up born again Christian going, this doesn't feel right to me. There's something else here. Why am I blocking God when I can just really connect with him? And like, what does that mean? And so I was just like the odd kid. I think of myself now as the rainbow sheep. But I was the one who didn't do things like anyone else.
Yeah.
And so I didn't realize until I was much older that my dad he's on the spectrum. So he has Asperger's. And I didn't know this until I was 40. And I didn't realize that my mom's anger and all of the stuff that she was dealing with, and like the frustration and like just growing up with young parents. My parents were 18 and 19 when they had me, 19 and 20. So like I basically helped raise my parents. And so I had a lot of trauma with that, with like all the stuff that I went through and all the like hardship of not even living a lot with my family after the age of 12. I had to like really grow up myself. And when I went home recently and I sat down with my dad and I was like, wait a second, you are the reason I'm a brand strategist. Because my dad knows literally everything there is about vintage motorcycles. Literally. Like, you cannot stump my dad. He gives the tours at the museums for motorcycles to the tour guides. Like, he's that good. But what I realized is he was really big into advertising. Okay. And like Buell has some of the best ads in the whole world. And he wears T-shirts that are like things like the Cadillac commercial, which was like, when you turn on your motorcycle, does it return the favor? Like, that's how I grew up. And I was like, wait a second. No wonder I love marketing. No wonder I love branding. Sense. But also, he taught me to listen really intently to certain music. He's like, do you hear the bells? Do you hear the drums? Do you hear the sax? Do you hear the fiddle? Do you hear the bass? Like, and I didn't realize that that wasn't normal. Because I thought I had just like a normal dad until I met normal dads. I was like, wait a second, this isn't normal at all. Like, this doesn't make any sense. But when I realized, I'm like, I grew up with a dad who didn't get me in certain ways, didn't hug me after a certain age because like he didn't want to be inappropriate, you know, like didn't say the things that a girl needed. But I look back on that going, but I am who I am today because I got to have a dad who is totally different than anyone else. How amazing is that? But someone else in the same family can take that and go, well, my dad didn't love me and blah, 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 blah. Like, oh, okay, well, you can do that too. But it's all a shift in how you think about it.
Yeah. Oh, that's powerful. I love that. That's a beautiful thing. Producer, how we looking on time, bro? We're good? Yeah, right. Man, thank you so much for coming. I think that this was a beautiful thing. You got a lot to speak about, and you're hired. We need to figure this out.
We have that recorded, everybody. Yeah. So if you don't see him working with me, you're going to have to razz him about it.
I guess I'm going to Boston, everybody.
This was a sales call, really.
It really was. Now I see what she did.
Totally.
No, that's cool. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to see through your lens and look into things in my life, because I guess I'll just end with that's just a powerful thing with my mom. And you know, thank you, Mom. Like, legit.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing your own business and the stuff that you're going through on your own podcast. To be willing to share with me so that I could sit with you in it, because there's so much that when we're willing to share ourselves, people get to heal from that, because the people who are listening can go, wait a second, that part of my story is just like his. I don't have to do that anymore. How fascinating.
Yeah.
So. Thanks for letting me be here.
I love it. Thank you so much. Everybody, make sure you like, follow, share Sacred Soldiers Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the good stuff. Melanie, it's been a pleasure.
Same.
I will have you on again soon. I love it.
Good.
Y'all have a blessed day.